Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Wednesday? We are halfway there, y'all. Halfway there. Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Listen, today's conversation is one that I feel like I should have had a long time ago on this channel. I've talked about AI before on this channel when I started Nick at Noon, probably about 6 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago. But I feel like it's something that we need to continue to talk about because it is affecting every single industry. I literally just got off the phone with my daughter, and she was telling me how her chief security officer held a meeting today, and that they said that AI is replacing a bunch of jobs. So basically, y'all need to get ready to lose your jobs. You gonna lose your job. You about to lose your job or whatever it was. Remember that? Um, so AI is really impacting every single industries that we once thought were safe and protected, like technology, which is the sector that my daughter works in. That was once guarded as, like, if you are a software engineer, you were guaranteed, like, there was no way you could tell me that a software engineer would be in jeopardy of losing their job. But we didn't know AI was coming up, right? We didn't know AI was going to show up. We didn't know what the future held. But the thing that I want to talk about today is something that I don't feel gets enough airtime in this space. You know, we're all talking about how to leverage AI in our coaching businesses and how to, you know, use AI to make our jobs more efficient and things like that. But what people are not talking about is the thing that AI cannot replace. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, welcome back to another episode of Nick at Noon. My name is Nick Scott. I'm the CEO and founder of Her Income Edit. We are an online education platform designed to help women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses so you can earn more, so you can depend less on traditional employment, and so you can start to design a life on your terms. Listen, that is my mission, okay? If you haven't already, I want you to go get your notebook and your pens or whatever it is you take notes on. Pop open a notes app on your phone or your tablet. Text the link to this video to a friend who keeps saying she wants to do something for herself. Send this video to your biz bestie. Give this video a thumbs up. Show me some love. Drop the link to this video in the group chat, because we are going to be talking about something today that I think has truly been sitting in the back of a lot of your mind, even if you haven't said it out loud yet, because we've seen the headlines. And that is, AI is replacing jobs. It's replacing whole departments. It's replacing whole roles. Listen, the skills that you have spent years building, these skills are being automated in a matter of months. And maybe you've brushed it off, or, you know, pretended like it wasn't there, or maybe you've told yourself that your whatever you do is too specialized. Maybe you feel like you're too senior. Maybe you feel like you're too irreplaceable. To the left, okay? But here's the thing. Somewhere in a less noisy space, maybe it's during your commute to work. Maybe it's when you're laying in the bed scrolling at midnight. You have felt this. You felt it. You have felt this low vibration of uncertainty for you and your job. You're not panicking, not yet anyway, but you do have an awareness that something is shifting here and you're not sure what to do with it. And I want to talk to you today about that feeling, because I feel like you're not overthinking it. I truly feel like you are reading the room. You are reading the room, and you're reading the room correctly. And I feel like there's a way through all of this that most people are not talking about yet. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I see the love on YouTube. So let's get on into this conversation, okay? So I want to tell you something that I have told very, very, very few people. I have lost income before, and this wasn't gradual, and it wasn't without warning. It was with warning, without warning. Goodness, come on, tongue. Um, I lost my income in 15 minutes. And I remember sitting right here in this office, in this seat, at this desk, in front of this computer. And I was thinking, you know what? I thought that I'd built something stable, but then I hadn't. Like, just like that, it was gone. And the thing that saved me in that moment, it was not my multiple degrees. It wasn't my bachelor's degree. It wasn't my master's degree. It wasn't my title. It wasn't even my resume. It was my reputation. It was my reputation. It's the thing that people know I could do. It is the thing that people have experienced firsthand. It's the thing that people trust in me. And that's what keeps my phone lit up, y'all. That's what created the next thing before I even had time to spiral out of it, into it, out of it, around it, however you spiral. And I really, really, really need you to hear this, y'all. Your reputation is something that AI cannot generate for you. Your reputation cannot be automated. Your reputation cannot be scaled by a robot. Your reputation cannot be written in a prompt. Why? Because it's yours. And today I am going to show you exactly what this means for your future. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. So there is so much noise right now about what AI can do. And a lot of it is true. A lot of it is true because we know that AI can write your first draft. We know that it can analyze data faster than any team or any person that you've ever worked with or a team you worked on, right? AI can handle your customer service workflows. It can handle logistics planning, legal document review. It can even handle scheduling at scale that would have required entire departments 5 years ago. Listen, I talked earlier about my daughter that I spoke to her this morning. She told me that she had an AI try to interview her for a position. You know, that first screening call? She said it was AI that was doing it. And she's like, I didn't like that. It didn't feel right to me, you know, whatever. And I was thinking, that's actually kind of genius to use AI in place of a human to do those screening calls. Because why do I need to do a screening call when AI can do it? I could be using my good, hard-earned skills and talent towards somewhere else and something else in this organization that's much more impactful, right? So AI is replacing people, right? And it can, and it's making a lot of noise in all of our industries because as it should be, right? It should be. Because it is fast, it is cheap, and guess what? AI does not need a bio break. It doesn't need a coffee break. It doesn't need a smoke break. It doesn't need a lunch break. It doesn't need to go to sleep, right? And here's what I want you to understand about this. The jobs that are most at risk, they're not the ones that require the most credentials. They're the ones that require the least trust. And I really want you to think about that for a second. The things that AI is replacing, those things are transactional. They're task-based. They're output-focused. It's literally like, here is the thing that I need done. AI is doing the thing, and then it's done. And that's the work that's going first. Like, those are the jobs that are being replaced first. You can go up to a drive-through and AI is taking your order now. Transactional jobs, task-based jobs, and output-focused jobs. But there's a category of work that AI cannot enter no matter how sophisticated it gets. And that work, it lives at the intersection of human judgment, lived experience, and relational trust. Now, let me give you I really want to make this clear, okay? So I want to give you a distinction. Listen, AI can produce information, no doubt about it. But a person with a reputation, that person produces wisdom. AI can generate content, but a person with a reputation generates confidence in people who are consuming that content, right? AI can recommend a course of action, but a person with a reputation, it makes you feel like that course of action was built for you by someone who's been where you are. And that gap right there that I just described, you see that space between my hands? That is where your income opportunity lives. Now, I want to even go deeper on this because I feel like this is a good conversation. I feel like we've been asking the wrong question about this, because the question that most people are asking is, will AI take my job? Can AI replace me? That's the question that most people are asking, right? And the thing about that is that is a low vibrational, fear-based question. And it keeps you reactive in your posture. You're reacting, right? Will AI take my job? Can AI replace me? But the question that I really want you to start asking is, what about me as a human being, as a person, as a woman? What about me is impossible to replicate and automate? Because that question is generative. That question is strategic. That question, it puts you back in the driver's seat. Because the answer to that question is not a small answer. It is literally your 15 years of watching industry shift and knowing what signals to look for before anybody else does. The answer to that question is, it's in your ability to walk into a room where someone is about to make a catastrophic decision, and you're able to redirect them in a way that doesn't bruise their ego. The answer to that question, it lies in your pattern recognition for when a team is falling apart and what it'll take for you to bring that team back. It is your knowledge of what they didn't put in the training manual. All of that is yours. Here's the thing. A language model cannot access that. What it can do is approximate patterns from data, but it cannot hold the weight of your 23 years of professional context and deliver that to someone who needs it in the exact moment that they need it. AI cannot do that because that is human. That is human. It is valuable and it is irreplaceable. Okay? And right now, most of you are giving away the thing that's irreplaceable. You're giving it away for free. Now, let me tell you what I've noticed. The women who feel most anxious about AI right now, they're about layoffs and about where the economy is going. They all have one thing in common, and that's one stream of income. The women who feel most anxious right now about AI, about these layoffs, and about this current economy, they all have one thing in common, and that is one stream of income. I'm talking about income from their one employer, their one paycheck, and their one source of financial stability. And there is nothing against that. Okay, there's nothing against that, y'all, because there was a whole cultural narrative that was built specifically around that. Go to school, get your degree, get a good paying job, do great work, get promoted, and then you retire. There was a whole cultural narrative that was built around that, right? And for a couple of generations, that was reasonable. It was reasonable. But guess what? The deal has changed. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because I want you to be very clear about what you're actually dealing with. Because since the year 2023, we have watched companies lay off tens of thousands of workers. And this isn't because the workers weren't performing. It was because their quarterly earnings That call that they have every quarter, their quarterly business review, it required a different number for that company. And it's not personal, but it's instructive, okay? Your employer's commitment to you is conditional. Your employer's commitment to you is conditional. And it's not because jobs are villains. It's simply because that is how companies work. Like, this is business. It is not personal. Your company likely has to answer to a board or shareholders, or definitely has to answer to the market conditions, right? So to your CEO, to my CEO, when I got laid off in that meeting, when he was sitting on the other side of this screen in that Zoom meeting, I was nothing more than a line item to him. It didn't matter how many happy hours I went to. It didn't matter how connected we were or are, were. How connected we were at the marketing summit. Like, none of that mattered. All I was a line item. And if you are an employee and you are not a CEO or an owner or a founder, all you are is a line item. And I just really want you to be completely understanding of that. It doesn't matter how senior you are. It doesn't matter how loyal you believe you are. It doesn't matter how long you've been at the company. It doesn't matter how many years of experience you have. When it comes down to it, in this day and time, in this economy, you're a line item. You're a line item. And no amount of stellar performance reviews will permanently remove you from a spreadsheet. You're always going to be on the spreadsheet. But that's not the whole picture, y'all, because there's something else that's happening. Women who have spent 10, 15, 20 years inside of an organization, they are watching paths that used to be clear get restructured, reorganized, or eliminated. Remember at the beginning of this episode, I talked to you about the conversation that I had with my daughter about the meeting that she had this morning. If you missed that discussion, I encourage you to go back and watch the replay of this episode on my YouTube channel. But this is real. This is real, right? Like, the paths that we would have never thought would be gone are gone. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, the advancement pipeline that you were told to trust, that advancement pipeline is moving slower than inflation. And now you're starting to realize that, something that's very uncomfortable. And that is, working inside the same structure, it doesn't change the structure that you're working inside of. And I want to be real careful here, because I am certainly not telling you to quit your job. I would never tell you to quit your job. In fact, I believe your job should be the first investor in your business. I believe that you should be building alongside your job while you're stable. I believe in building the thing before you take a leap. If you even want to take a leap, you might not ever want to take a leap. I believe in income diversification. I believe your 9-to-5 is a resource. I do not believe that your 9-to-5 is an enemy. I do not believe that my 9-to-5 was the enemy. I am not anti-corporate. I am pro-options. And even in that, I feel very strongly that depending on your 9-to-5 as your only resource, as your only source of income, that is the risk that we should be talking more about. That's the risk. That's what I believe, right? Your job is not the enemy. Your job is a resource. But if you're depending on your job as your only source of income and you have no income diversification, I'm not talking about your retirement accounts or your real estate investments. I'm talking about true income diversification here. That's what I talk about. That's what I mean when I'm talking about multiple streams of income. Depending upon your job was never meant to be your only plan, okay? I have a question that I really want you to think about. I really want you to think about this question. And if you feel led and compelled to, you can drop your answer in the comments. But at the very least, I encourage you to write it down in your notebook if you're taking notes. If your income disappeared today, what is your plan? I'm talking about if your income disappeared and it wasn't because you failed and it wasn't because you did anything wrong, it was just because organizations make decisions. Because remember, we just established that you're a line item. If your income disappeared right now today, what is your plan? Because if your answer involves scrambling or calling in favors or updating your resume while you're panicking, then you don't have a plan. You have hope. And as wonderful as hope is, it is not an income strategy. Listen, multiple streams of income are not a luxury. This is not something for people who are already rich. This isn't something that you earn access to after you've made it. Multiple streams of income and income diversification, it is a strategy. This is how risk-aware, forward-thinking women, this is how they design their financial lives. This is how you make sure that no single decision that someone else makes gets to determine your entire financial future. And what I'm saying here is not extreme. What I'm talking about here is math. I'm talking about the math that maths. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. But here is where this conversation gets real interesting, y'all. And I want to talk about something that is genuinely undervalued in our culture. Because we've been trained to think about our work in terms of output, right? Deliverables, reports, campaigns, systems, products, you name it, the list goes on. And we have been taught to measure what we produce, right? But we almost never stop to measure what we have, what we're bringing to the table, what we're carrying. I'm talking about the reputation that you've built. That is an asset. You've built this reputation across clients, colleagues, communities, your family, your friends, your loved ones, industries. All of it is an asset. And this isn't a metaphor. I mean, it is a literal asset. But unlike your savings account, this asset doesn't just sit there. Because this asset right here that I'm talking about, your reputation, it grows every single time you show up. It grows every time you deliver. And it grows every time you're seen doing it. Your reputation, it compounds. And unlike your job title, your reputation can't be taken from you in a restructuring. Here's what I mean by that. When someone you've worked with calls you because they're stuck, when someone you work with calls you because they're stuck, they're not calling your company, they're calling you, right? When a former client refers someone to you, they're not referring your manager or your job, they're referring your judgment. When someone in your industry wants a perspective on a decision, they want your perspective, right? That is a business, y'all. It's already a business. And most women I talk to, they just haven't connected those dots because they've spent years accumulating credibility, insight, trust, and results, and they think it belongs to the organization that they built it inside of, but it doesn't. Because your reputation, it travels with you. Your skills travel with you. Your judgment travels with you. Your job title, it stays right where it is when you leave, but everything else that comes with you. And I want to give you a new way to look at this. I want you to stop thinking of yourself as an employee who does a job. And I want you to start thinking of yourself as an expert whose knowledge has value beyond any single employer. It doesn't even matter who you work with. Because those two lenses, they lead to completely different financial lives. Because an employee who waits to be promoted An employee will wait to be promoted, but an expert will position herself to be compensated. You see what I'm saying? An employee hopes that their company recognizes her value, but an expert creates conditions where the market recognizes her value. An employee's income is capped by the salary band and the structure that she was hired into. But an expert's income is limited only by how many people she can serve. What I'm talking about here, y'all, is not a subtle difference. It is everything in this. And the bridge between where you are and that second space that I'm talking about, that is your reputation. That's the bridge between the two. That's the bridge between the two. So, hello. Thanks for joining. I know it just came up for some of you when I said the word expert, because it's happened to me before. And it happens with almost every woman that I work with. When I said expert, when I just described the employee versus the expert, some of you thought, I'm not an expert. That's not me. She's not talking to me. Or maybe you thought, you know what? I'm not at that level. Or maybe you even thought people who do that kind of thing have more experience than I do. Or you might have even thought, you know what? I am an expert, but I wouldn't even know where to start. And I want you to really just sit with that for a moment, okay? I don't want you to argue with it. If you felt any of that come up for you when I was talking about the employee versus the expert, I want you just to sit with it. I don't want you to argue with it. I want you to examine it. Because I have found something very interesting. The women who say that I'm not an expert, they're often the exact women who spend their weekends helping a former colleague think through a difficult transition. They're the ones that their family members seek out when something goes sideways in their lives. They're the ones with the reputation for clarity in the room. You've just never considered that what you do so naturally is something that someone else would pay a premium for. And that is the blind spot. It's not your capability, because you're perfectly capable, but it's perception. And perception is always going to be reality. Now, I want to just switch gears a little bit and talk about coaching as the vehicle for income. Remember, we're talking about income diversification here, because this is where a lot of misinformation, this is where it lives. And I want to be very clear. I want to clear some of that misunderstanding out, okay? So the very first myth about coaching is coaching is for women who've already made it. No, that's not true, because coaching is for people who have already done the work, and that includes you, wherever you are in your career. You don't have to be at the top of your field. You need to be further along than the person that you're helping. And I already know that you're almost certainly further along than the person that you're meant to help. The second myth is you need a certification to coach. Now, let's be clear. There are entire industries where people are paying for wisdom, not credentials. Leadership development, career transition support, business strategy, communication coaching, organizational culture work, creative business building. Listen, what matters in those spaces is not a certificate on your wall. It's the transformation that you can create for your clients. Results build reputation. Reputation builds income. Myth number 3, coaching requires you to start over. And this is the one that I always push back on the hardest, because you're not starting over. What you're doing is repositioning, because the skills you already have, I'm talking about the ones that you've been paid to develop for years. Those are your curriculum. You just need a way to deliver that outside of your employer's walls. And that is not starting over. That is leveraging forward. I want to be very, very clear about something. Coaching is not the only path to diversifying your income. It is not right for every single person, but it is one of the most underutilized paths by women that I work with because it requires no inventory, no startup capital, no storefront, no investors. All it requires is your skills, a clear framework, and a client who's willing to pay for the transformation that you can deliver. And many of you have been creating that kind of transformation. You've been doing it for free in every job that you've ever held. And the only thing that changes is that you decide to get compensated for that transformation. So we've talked a lot about a lot of things here today, but there's a part of this conversation that I feel like we usually skip because we talk all the time about income, we talk about skills, we talk about strategy, but underneath all of that is a question about identity. And that is, who are you when you're not inside of your 9 to 5, when you're not inside of someone else's company, when you're not inside of someone else's structure? And that question right there, it trips people up more than almost anything else I see because so many of us have organized our identity around our role, around our title. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with that because that title, that role, it has earned you a whole lot of things. It has earned you stability, respect, financial safety in a way, and it's earned you a sense of purpose, right? But here's what I've noticed about the women who feel most uncertain right now. It's not that they're worried about their income, they're worried about who they are without that title. And that right there is a very worthy thing to think about and to examine. Because if you lose your title tomorrow, and I'm not saying that you will, but if you did, what's left? What's left? I would argue that what's left is the best part. That is your judgment, your relationships, your pattern recognition, your hard-won wisdom, your ability to see around corners. Listen, that doesn't disappear when you walk out the door. It actually gets deeper if you allow it to. And I want to challenge the idea that building something outside of your job is a detour. What if it's the next most natural expression of who you've become? What if the years that you've spent inside of your field were actually the training ground for something that you lead, not for someone else, but for yourself? This is the identity shift that I feel like we miss. It's not employee to entrepreneur, because I feel like when you think about it that way, it creates a false cliff. Like you have to leap from one identity to the other. The shift that I'm talking about here, the real identity shift is a whole lot more subtler and it's more sustainable. And that is from a professional who works for organizations to a professional whose skills are an asset that can generate income in more than one way. Your job can completely still be a part of your life. Your income just doesn't have to depend solely on that job. And that is the goal, y'all. The goal here is options. It is freedom. It is not a panic-driven exit. It is a strategic expansion. Now, I want to talk to a very specific part of who you are. I want to talk to that part that knows something needs to change, but is also very aware of everything that you've built. I'm talking about your mortgage, your kids, your retirement accounts, the team that you have that's depending on you. I want to talk to that part of you that can't afford to recklessly experiment, because there are real people who are attached to your real income. Listen, I see that person. I am that person. And I want to say this very clearly. Building something alongside your job is not reckless. It's actually the opposite. It's what reckless prevention looks like. Because the reckless move for you would be to wait until the decision is urgent to start building options for yourself. The reckless move is trusting, completely trusting the goodwill of your job in an economy that has repeatedly shown us that goodwill has limits. The strategic move and the safe move for you is to build before you need that second stream of income, to start building it with intention, and to start building it alongside the stability that you created. Listen, I built her income edit while I still had income coming in. I didn't quit my job. I didn't burn anything down, and I didn't make a dramatic announcement either. I built alongside my job. And when, not if, when the unexpected happened, and it did happen, I wasn't starting from zero because I already had something. It didn't replace my whole salary, but I had something. I had something that I owned. I had something that didn't disappear when my whole department got eliminated. I had something that I had already begun generating income from. And this isn't because I got lucky, it's because I had been strategic. And that's what I want for you too. Not the drama of a leap, okay, unless that's what you want to do. But I really want you to have the stability of a foundation to build before you need it. Here's the thing about all this when it comes to income diversification. None of us buy insurance when the house is on fire. None of us buy insurance when the house is on fire, right? We buy insurance while everything is fine because we understand the nature of uncertainty. Okay? So building a second stream of income while your first stream is stable, that is income insurance built on your skills. And guess what? There is no monthly premium. There is no third party. There is no claims process. It is options. It is leverage, and it is yours. It is yours. So I want to bring this conversation back to what we started talking about at the top, because we started talking about AI, right? And I want to give you a framework for how to think about AI that I feel like is going to serve you long term. And this isn't as a threat to your current job, but as a clarifying force, because what AI is doing right now and what it's doing at scale, at speed, and what it is relentlessly doing is removing the value from something that can be systemized. So anything that is pattern-based, anything that is repeatable, and anything that doesn't require a real human to judge, AI, it's going to do it better, cheaper, and faster. It's already happening. And that is not going to happen 10 years from now. It's happening right now. But the flip side of that pressure is that it's making deeply human, real human value more valuable and not less valuable. That's one of the reasons why I do these live streams, because there's so much fakeness on the internet and in this industry. And so many people are, producing AI videos and AI photos and AI content. We don't even know what's real anymore. That's part of the reason why I do these live streams. But when in a world where everyone can generate a report in 30 seconds, the value is no longer in the report. It is in knowing which one of those reports matter. When we live in a world where Lottie-Dottie and everybody can produce a strategy deck in an hour, the value is no longer in the deck. It's in the relationship that gets the deck acted on. When we live in a world where Lottie-Dottie and everybody can build a website, they can launch an email campaign, or they can produce content at volume, the value is no longer in the output, y'all. It is in the trust that makes someone choose you over the noise. AI has created a scarcity of the thing that it cannot produce. and that is your reputation. Your reputation is your proof of work. Your title is not your proof of work. Your company name is not your proof of work. How many followers you have on social media is not your proof of work. Your proof of work is what people say about you when you are not in the room to tell them what to say about you. Your proof of work is that phone call that they make when these people are in trouble. It's the referral that they give without you even being asking for it. That right there is yours. It travels, it grows. And that, when it is built into an offer, when it is built into a business, when it is built into a brand, that is something that functions in any economy. It functions in any industry disruption, and it functions in any market shift. Because the need for trusted people, the need for trusted human guidance, it doesn't disappear when AI gets better. That need just increases. Hello, hello, hello. Listen, in a world full of AI generated answers, your reputation is the only thing that makes yours worth listening to, your answers worth listening to. So I want to talk something that I have built specifically for what I have been describing in this whole conversation, because I know what happens after a conversation like this. You feel real good, you feel energized, you feel some clarity, you feel inspired, but then you're going to close your laptop, or you're going to click off the tab on your phone, and you're going to go back to your day, and then 2 weeks later, you're going to be exactly in the same place. And this isn't because you're not motivated. It's because motivation without structure, it doesn't move anything. It doesn't build anything. And that's exactly why Ignite exists. Ignite is my signature 12-week group coaching program, and it is designed for professional women who are ready to take their skills and turn those skills into a coaching business that generates real income. And this doesn't have to happen over years. It happens in 12 weeks. We move through the full build. So you're going to leave knowing who you coach. You're going to leave knowing what you offer. You're going to leave knowing how to price your offer. You're going to leave knowing how to enroll your clients. And I'm not talking about theory. You're not going to get a workbook that you complete by yourself. You get a structured, guided, done with you build. And you do this alongside women who are at the same table with the same goal. That peer element right there is something that I don't take lightly, because there is something about being in a room, even when it's a virtual room. There is something about being there with women who are doing the thing alongside you that removes the isolation that kills most good ideas before they even start. Enrollment for the next cohort of Ignite is open right now. The cohort kicks off on September 14th, and spots are limited. This is not a 200-person course. This is a cohort. It is sized for attention. It is sized for accountability, and I size it for results. So if what I've talked about today, if it resonates at all, if you have been sitting here thinking, you know what, I know I need to do something, this is the something that you probably need to do. You can find details about Ignite on my website at herincomeedit.com/ignite, or you can click the link down in the description, or you can just drop the word reputation in the comments, and I will make sure you get all the details. But I want to be honest with you about something, okay? The women who join Ignite, they are not women who feel fully ready. Because there's no such thing as fully ready. Just like there's no such thing as perfect, there's no such thing as fully ready. The women who've decided, these are the women in my program, they're the women who have decided that one more month of knowing and not doing is costing more than the investment. The women inside my programs They are the women who decided that one more month of knowing something and not doing something about it is costing more than the investment. And that is the real calculation, y'all. Because every month that you don't build is a month that you don't have income diversification. It's one more month that you don't have flexibility. It's one more month that you're not creating options for you, for your family, for your future, and for your legacy. Every month you wait is a month that someone else who has the same skill set as you, they're getting further ahead in a space that you have equal claim to. And I'm not saying this to create panic. I'm saying it because I respect you enough to say exactly what it is that I see. Your 9 to 5 was never meant to be your only plan. Multiple streams of income are not a bonus. They're a baseline. And your skills are already the raw material. I'm talking about the skills that you have built over your entire life and your entire career. Ignite is the structure. You can learn more about the enrollment process at Ignite on my website at herincomeedit.com/ignite. You can click the link down in the description, or you can just drop reputation down in the comments, okay? So before I go, we get about time. I want to leave you with one thing. No action item in this one. And this isn't a homework assignment. I just want to leave you with a thought. The woman that you have become, it has taken you years to build, right? It's taken years of you showing up. It's taken years of delivering under pressure, learning things that didn't go the way that you planned, building trust with people who are now in positions of influence, developing judgment that took far longer than any certification that you have. Listen, that's not a credential. It is an asset. And the question that I'm posing in front of you right now is very simple. The question that I hope that you're thinking about right now is very simple. Are you going to let AI reduce all of what I just described to a job function? Are you going to allow AI to do that? Or are you going to do what the moment is actually asking you to do? And that is to recognize that your reputation, your skills, your years of being excellent at what you do, all of that is worth more than one employer has ever agreed to pay you. Because that's the truth. I'm not giving you a pep talk here. I'm really just talking about an economic reality. The market for trusted human guidance is growing, not shrinking. People are longing to connect with humans. The demand for women who can take what they know and deliver it with real authority, that infrastructure exists, y'all, and the path to that is clear. The only remaining question is whether or not you're going to take that path. And I really, 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 really hope to see you in the next cohort of Ignite. We kick off again on September 14th. You can get all the program details on my website at herincomeedit.com/ignite. You can click the link down in the description. You can comment the word reputation and I'll make sure you get the details. And if today's conversation helped you see something differently, I want you to share this video with someone you know needs to hear this conversation, because we need what the world needs now is more women building income that belongs to them. I want to thank each and every one of you for popping in and out of today's conversation. Your presence is always felt and appreciated. My name is Nick Scott. This has been another episode of Nick at Noon. I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Mountain Time. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn your bell notifications on so you don't miss a beat. I get into all things strategy, tools, and mindset when it comes to coaching income, digital products, and online businesses here so that you can what? Earn more, depend less on traditional employment, and start to design a life on your own terms. I hope to see you in the next cohort of Ignite. You can learn more about my group coaching program on the program page on my website at herincomeedit.com/ignite. You can click the link down in the description, or you can just drop the word reputation and I can make sure that you get all the details. All right. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.